Ancient gods and monsters dominated the planet, but Perseus, a half-god, was the one who vanquished the Kraken and saved humanity. Perseus declined his father Zeus' offer to serve at his side as a reward because he desired to live among humans. Perseus' wife eventually passed away, but this didn't cause him to reconsider. He still leads a straightforward life as a fisherman and provides for his son Helios. Zeus pays Perseus a visit one evening and informs him that people no longer pray, hence the gods are losing their power. As a result, they will soon be unable to keep the demons inside Tartarus gates. Kronos, perhaps escaping and wreaking havoc on the planet, is the enormous titan and father of all gods. Zeus asks Perseus to assist them, but Perseus declines because his son is his top priority and he doesn't believe he has the authority to do anything about it. Perseus begins having nightmares of Kronos assaulting his community and nearly murdering his kid as soon as Zeus departs and he goes to sleep. Zeus meets with his brother Poseidon and his son Ares in the meantime. Ares is disappointed to learn that Perseus won't be attending and thinks Zeus is reckless. When they go to Tartarus to fix the walls, they see Hades, who still harbors resentment at his brothers Zeus and Poseidon for sending him to the underworld. As a result, Hades makes the decision to abandon his family and launch an attack using fireballs and monsters. Poseidon suffers significant damage as a result of the gods' inability to fight at their full strength due to their weakness. Ares seizes the opportunity to knock Zeus out so he can join Hades while Zeus is preoccupied with his brother's defeat. So, in order to increase his strength, Ares takes Zeus' thunderbolt. A group of chimeras emerge from the underworld at that precise moment and start attacking people everywhere. When Perseus notices one approaching his hamlet, he quickly runs back to get his sword to defend his house. The people congregate around the crater the beast made, but shortly after, the chimera reappears, sending everyone fleeing in terror. As Perseus makes every effort to battle the monster and keep an eye out for his son, there is a chase that starts through the hamlet. Perseus utilizes whatever he can find as a shield as the chimera breathes fire, and when he is close enough, he stabs any portion of the creature he can reach. Despite being knocked to the ground, Perseus jumps up when the chimera is ready to murder Helios and draws the creature's attention to himself, leading it to become entangled in a number of chains. Perseus is pulled along by the monster as it flees, and once they get away from the settlement, Perseus seizes the chimera's chains and causes it to burn itself by tricking it into breathing fire. After that, Perseus asks Helios to accompany him to the Mount of Idols, a defunct temple where people formerly worshipped the gods, and a medic to tend to his wounds. They locate Zeus' statue and begin to pray, but Poseidon, who just about made it out alive, shows up instead. He informs Perseus of the betrayal and the fact that Zeus has been imprisoned. As a result, Perseus must track down Poseidon's son Agenor, who is currently with Queen Andromeda, so that the two of them can search for the lost. Hephaestus, a god, holds the secret to overthrowing Kronos. Poseidon then requests that Perseus give his son his trident before dying. Zeus is imprisoned in the interim so Tartarus can absorb his abilities and use them to set Kronos free. Ares uses the occasion to explain why he despises his father. He has always shown favoritism for Perseus, who disobeyed the gods by choosing to live a human life. Zeus believes that Kronos' pledge of immortality to Ares and Hades in exchange for their release is a ruse to win their support. Upon back in the village, Perseus decides he must engage in combat and bids Helios farewell before giving his father a homemade knife. Then Perseus summons his black Pegasus, who carries him aloft. This enables him to locate Queen Andromeda's forces, who are preparing for battle close to the underworld's entrance. When the archers see Perseus flying by, they attack him, but they soon drop their weapons when they realize that this is the hero who slew the Kraken. Perseus finds Andromeda and tells her everything, including the fact that they must stop praying to Ares otherwise they will call upon his presence, while everyone kneels before him. Perseus is taken to sea by Andromeda after she agrees to help Agenor, a thief and liar who is currently incarcerated. Agenor rejects Perseus' explanation of the problem because he doesn't want anything to do with the gods who abandoned him. Agenor requests a royal pardon, gold, and a boat in exchange for his assistance, but Perseus points out that this might lead to his freedom. In the interests of humanity, Andromeda agrees to give him everything. Andromeda discovers later on Agenor's new vessel that Hephaestus was the creator of Zeus' lightning bolt, Hades' pitchfork, and Poseidon's trident. They can combine those three to create the Spear of Trium, the weapon the gods first used to vanquish Kronos. Although the island of Kale was never discovered, Hephaestus resides there, and Agenor claims to know how to get there. Agenor accepts Perseus' offer to liberate him from his bonds and receives the trident right away. Sticks to steer the boat to the island. They discover there are concealed traps everywhere as they arrive in Kale. The guardians of Andromeda wish to ask Ares for protection, but Perseus must remind them that Ares is no longer on their side. Despite the group's best efforts, Agenor nonetheless steps into a wire and is caught in a trap. The trap is abruptly removed by its ropes as they talk about how to free him, and as Perseus goes to pursue it, he finds that a tree is being tossed at him. Quickly avoiding it, Perseus is astonished to learn that a Cyclops is responsible for all of this. While Andromeda's group is attempting to assist him, a second Cyclops appears and starts slaughtering the troops. While hiding, Andromeda's guard Corinna tries to pray to Ares. Andromeda has to stop her. A Cyclops is on its way to locate them when it hears its colleague scream in agony, prompting it to turn around and see how the other is doing. In fact, Perseus had succeeded in stabbing the Cyclops that was pursuing him, and with the aid of the troops, he sets off one of the forest's traps to dispatch it. As the second Cyclops approaches, Perseus draws his trident to defend himself. Because the trident is the sign the group was given by the gods, causing a third Cyclops to appear and stop its comrades. The Cyclops bow in adoration for Perseus when Agenor is set free. Ares, meanwhile, uses Zeus' chained condition as an opportunity to begin repeatedly beating him. Ares lacks self-awareness, therefore Hades must intervene before he derails the strategy. As the chains cover Zeus' arms in lava to absorb his power, he starts aging rapidly. The gang arrives at Hephaestus' lair shortly after. The elderly deity, who doesn't seem to be in the best of health, acknowledges Perseus and tells him he can't do anything because Zeus has taken all of his godly authority. When he exiled him to the domain of humans. Hephaestus changes his mind when Andromeda clutches his hand and begs for his assistance because she makes him think of his wife Aphrodite. Then Hephaestus confesses that he was the one who created Tartarus and added a hidden entrance they could use. They must navigate the labyrinth that surrounds Tartarus in order to reach its center. He provides Agenor a map of the labyrinth just in case before the gang departs to travel to a different building where Hephaestus has concealed the entrance to the labyrinth. Ares unexpectedly appears just as they are about to reach the entrance. He murders the last of Andromeda's warriors, and Perseus hits him for it, but he is too weak to inflict any harm. The party confronts Ares while Hephaestus opens the secret entrance, but Ares is too strong and effortlessly knocks them all away. When Corinna falls to her knees and admits that she was the one who prayed for him, Ares rewards her by having her killed. As Hephaestus realized they were all about to be destroyed, he used his staff to hold the entrance open while he went to confront Ares to buy the group some time. Perseus, Andromeda, and Agenor enter the labyrinth as the door closes behind them and Ares takes his time slaying Hephaestus. With the help of the map Hephaestus had given them, the three starts navigating the labyrinth. Andromeda sees a vision of Corinna running away from her, and Perseus hears a voice crying his name and pleading for his son. Agenor determines the map is useless after numerous detours and that they should follow. His father gave him the innate ability to navigate. The trio flees in order to avoid being crushed as the walls begin to move and close up the spaces surrounding them. When they arrive at the labyrinth's interior, they encounter enormous moving rings that knock them to the ground, and trap them between two walls. Andromeda is pulled out by the demigods with the help of Agenor following shortly after, but Perseus stumbles once again. Perseus encounters Helios in a dim hallway and has to tell himself that he is a figment of his imagination. While he goes in search of his comrades, a minotaur suddenly attacks him and tries to stab him with its horns. A furious struggle ensues, and Perseus eventually succeeds in forcing the minotaur into a wall in order to get its horns lodged. The minotaur tries to use Helios' voices to plead for mercy as Perseus starts beating him up, but Perseus kills it nevertheless when the horns crack. Since the minotaur guarded the labyrinth, Perseus now has a clear path because of its death. He meets up with his friends once more, and the three of them eventually make it inside Tartarus. Zeus apologizes to Hades for casting him into the underworld while also admitting that he has forgiven Hades for catching him at this time. Hades begins to change his mind because he has always sought the praise of his family, but right then Ares appears and assaults him in an effort to prevent him from releasing Zeus. After fighting blows for a while, Kronos finishes absorbing Zeus' power and begins to awaken as Hades grabs Ares and causes them to tumble into the abyss. When the three approaches, Perseus releases Zeus with the help of Poseidon's trident, and Ares prepares to back up and prepared to continue battling. Without success, Andromeda and Agenor attempt to stop him, but Ares suddenly collapses as Hades strikes him with his pitchfork from behind. Ares steals the pitchfork from Hades and throws it at Zeus, stabbing him in the back as the group flees with Zeus. Zeus seizes the chance and combines the trident and pitchfork to cause the gang to teleport out of Tartarus. Ares stabs Hades in rage before realizing Perseus dropped Helios' gift as he was looking about. A little while later, the group shows up at Andromeda's camp, but Zeus is running out of time. He tells Perseus that Ares is in possession of his lightning bolt, so they must steal it in order to forge the spear that only Perseus is capable of using. Agenor, Andromeda, and her army will delay Kronos while Perseus retrieves the bolt. The party decides. He offers Ares a prayer and requests that he meet him at the temple, which he can only get to by riding his Pegasus. An explosion occurs at the gateway to the underworld, and fireballs start to fall everywhere, carrying various monsters with them. The humans battle with every weapon and tactic at their disposal, but they can only hold out for so long. Unexpectedly, Hades appears on the scene, clutching Zeus' hand as he agrees to forgive him and share his remaining power. This cures Zeus' wounds and restores his youthful appearance. Eventually both gods enter the battle, dispatching enemies like flies. As Perseus gets at the temple in the meantime, he finds Ares has brought Helios because he wants him to see the removal of his father, just as Ares had to do with his own. The brothers engage in a furious struggle, but Ares easily defeats a demigod. Helios advances with his father's sword to divert Ares when he is about to slay Perseus. Perseus takes advantage of the opportunity to sneak up on his brother and kidnap the lightning bolt, which he uses to eventually kill Ares. Perseus combines the three weapons into the Spear of Triumph after he possesses all three. Hades and Zeus focus their attacks on Kronos as he emerges from sleep and onto the battlefield. Because of their meager strength and ineffectiveness, Kronos ignores them and begins destroying the land by firing lava everywhere. Perseus arrives on his Pegasus, but the amount of lava falling down prevents him from getting close enough to attack. Hades and Zeus combine their forces to strike Kronos hard, allowing Perseus to soar closer. This enrages Kronos, who then strikes the ground and unleashes a strong bolt of lightning. The gods with a wave. Zeus attempts to push Hades aside and deploy a force field, but he is weak and is struck in return. This diversion allows Perseus to avoid Kronos' final wave of lava and fly right into his mouth to stab the spear right through his body. After the plot is carried out, Kronos explodes, leaving nothing but ash behind. The army rejoices, and Andromeda is happy to see Perseus returning intact. Zeus greets Perseus when they are reunited and says that the time of the gods is over while expressing gratitude for his assistance. Zeus passes away in his son's arms since Hades is unable to buy him any more time. Hades then declares that he must begin a new existence because he is no longer in control. Everyone at camp starts tending to their wounds a little while later. In an effort to be a good uncle, Agenor bonds with Helios, and Perseus approaches Andromeda to kiss her. Helios acknowledges that after witnessing war, being a fisherman doesn't seem that horrible, when the father and son have some time alone. Yet Perseus decides to hand up his legendary weapon because he wants him to be prepared for the future. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.